Bini Birth explores many different methods of childbirth, approaching birth as an individual process that each woman will do in her own way. Classes include different options in breathing, positions, labor coping, and pain medications. Joining us today is Ana Paula Markel, childbirth educator, doula, and founder of Bini Birth. This is Preggy Pals.
Is that a plus sign?
Pink or blue? Hospital or home birth?
What type of food should I be eating?
I think I just peed myself. I'm pregnant, and I have to exercise.
What pregnancy glow?
Wait, was that a contraction?
Gotta make these pants fit. I've got kinkles.
What do you mean there's more than one?
You've got the symptoms, and now you've got the support you need for a happy 9 months. This is Preggy Pals, your pregnancy, your way.
So welcome to Preggy Pals, broadcasting from the Birth Education Center of San Diego. Preggy Pals is your online, on-the-go support group for expecting parents and those hoping to become pregnant. I'm your host, Stephanie Glover. Thanks to all of our loyal listeners who have joined the Preggy Pals Club. Our members get special episodes, bonus content after each new show, plus special giveaways and discounts. See our website for more information. Another way you can stay connected is by downloading our free Preggy Pals app, available in the Android, iTunes, and Windows Marketplace. Sunny, our producer, is now going to give us some information about our virtual panelist program.
Absolutely. Thank you. So if you guys aren't here in San Diego where we record Preggy Pals, you could still participate in the show. We have a Facebook page. We also have a Twitter page. And before each episode, we like to post questions. We like to get you guys involved in the conversation that we have with each of our episodes. It's a great way to ask our expert questions. So I'm going to go ahead now and post on our Facebook page. And in the future, when you guys know that we have a recording, go ahead and check out our Facebook page again on Twitter as well. You can follow the hashtag PreggyPalsVP. The VP stands for Virtual Panelist, and that's a great way to follow the conversation and be part of our shows.
Great. Thank you, Sunny.
Sure.
So Sunny and I are sitting in the studio today, and we're just going to introduce ourselves a little bit more as panelists. I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Stephanie Glover again. I'm 32. I'm the host of Preggy Pals and also a stay-at-home mom. I'm also a trained childbirth educator. I don't have a due date right now, but I do have 2 daughters, ages 3 and almost 15 months. My first was a C-section and my second a VBAC.
And I'm Sunny, and as you guys know, I'm producing today's show. I'm also the owner of New Mommy Media, which produces Preggy Pals, Parent Savers, The Boob Group, which is our breastfeeding show, and our show for twins and multiples called Twin Talks. And I have 4 children of my own. I'm crazy like that. And they are ages 4 and under, so it is very crazy in my house. I have a 4-year-old son, a 2-year-old son, and identical twin girls who are going to turn 1 next week. I can't believe it. Oh my gosh. As far as the birth that I had with all of them, my first son was a vaginal birth, and we had some complications, and so I had to have C-sections after that. So 1 vaginal, 2 C-sections.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so before we kick off today's episode, we have an interesting news headline that both Stephanie and I are going to chat about, and we'd love to have your guys' feedback on this as well. I'll go ahead and put the link on our Facebook page so you can see it. But it says, could vitamin D make childbirth less painful? So this came out not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, and it basically says low vitamin D levels could make childbirth more painful. So low levels, more pain, according to this new study. Vitamin D deficiency is common during pregnancy, especially amongst high-risk women, including vegetarians, those with little sun exposure, and members of ethnic minorities, says ACOG. So this new study included 93 pregnant women whose vitamin D levels were checked prior to childbirth, and they received an epidural for pain during labor, and the researchers measured how much pain medication each of the women required during delivery. Women with lower vitamin D levels required more pain medication than those with higher vitamin D levels. And that's hence the story that vitamin D deficiency could make childbirth more painful. So I don't know, Stephanie, what do you think about this?
I think it's really intriguing. I've heard of associations with vitamin D and anxiety and depression, also like the seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah,
if you're,
sad.
Living somewhere sad. I'm sad when it's gloomy, right?
I know, right?
But I could definitely see, there's a pain theory that's talked a lot about with childbirth where it's, if you have fear, if you picture a circle with some arrows going around, fear can lead to tension, can lead to pain, can lead to fear, so it can be cyclical. And if you have a deficiency that's already making you anxious, depressed, or fearful, I could definitely see a correlation.
It's interesting, too, because we did an episode on vitamin D deficiency. So if you guys go to our website, preggypals.com or newmommymedia.com, and you check it out, just search for vitamin D. We did a whole episode about this and the benefits and, what's required and all that good stuff. A lot of people don't even know that they're vitamin D deficient. I mean, how would you know?
I probably would never even have asked unless a care provider suggested it. Though I have to say, I was maybe about 6 months postpartum and starting to feel a little down, and I didn't know, is this postpartum depression kicking in? Am I just really tired? Is it my toddler's tantrums that are wearing on me? But I Googled some things, picked up some vitamin D supplements, figured it couldn't hurt. Yeah. It certainly helped. Yeah. And, who's to say if it's placebo effect or not, but it kind of didn't matter at that point. And I wasn't too concerned if it was really necessarily a clinical diagnosis. It was just something easy that I could manage and seemed to work for me. So.
Yeah, and I'm all for anything that's going to reduce pain or surges, whatever you want to call them during labor, anything that's going to make that easier, especially for those of you who are planning natural, non-medical, as far as pain medication is concerned, births. This may be something you want to look into. So it's really interesting. This article actually came out. Let's see, who released this? Health. So I got it from news.health.com. I'll include the link on our website if you guys want to check it out.
So today we continue our series on childbirth preparation methods. Joining us on the phone today is Ana Paula Markel, founder of Bini Birth. Ana Paula is an ICEA certified childbirth educator, DONA certified doula, and a DONA approved birth doula trainer. Welcome to Preggy Pals, Ana Paula. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be part of this wonderful show.
Awesome. So Bini Birth is spelled B-I-N-I. Does that stand for something?
Yes. Well, the story is that I wanted a name that would reflect not just childbirth in itself, but also family. And my grandma was Italian, so Bini is short for bambini, which means children in Italian. But then we also came up with an acronym that really represents how we teach childbirth education, and that is that birth is individual, it's also normal, and it's also intimate. And I can elaborate if you want me to.
Well, of course. I mean, the next thing I was going to ask is for you to describe the principles behind Bini Birth.
Yes, and that's exactly that. Birth being individual means no two women birth alike, and even the same women for different children birth differently. I mean, just by listening to both of your descriptions of your birth, we can tell that each experience is completely different. Myself, I've had 4 kids. Each experience completely different than the other one. So we do have a tendency to compare with other people, and that sometimes leads to some downfalls that women may have. Normal because, childbirth in itself is a physiological process. Childbirth in itself is very simple. The uterus contracts, the cervix open, and you push the baby out. But it's the culture around birth that is, so unique by each city, state, country, etc. And definitely intimate. And that's one of the misconceptions that people have about childbirth. The hormones that women and the baby release in labor are very similar to the hormones of breastfeeding and of baby making, mm-hmm. and they are quiet, shy hormones that does require a certain mood to perform in its excellence. So basically, if we don't invite 20 people to watch us make the baby, we shouldn't invite 20 people to watch us birth the baby.
It's funny you say that. Yeah, because I've heard the thing that the way you get the baby in is the same way you get the baby out.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, that's an Ina Gaskin thing, and it's so true and so wise.
So, Ana Paula, what would you say, to the listeners out there? They're trying to determine, they want to do some sort of childbirth preparation class, and they're trying to figure out what is going to work best for them. So they're listening to this episode. How would you say that Bini Birth differs from other childbirth preparation methods?
We're extremely non-judgmental, so we're going to welcome every pregnant woman, regardless of what she comes with in her luggage. Either a lot of fear, either a lot of excitement, either if she's planning on a home birth with a midwife, or actually if she's planning an assisted childbirth, we would have no judgment with that. On the same note, we would also welcome women that plan or are curious or open to an epidural, or even people that may feel the need to have a scheduled cesarean birth. We do encourage people to be informed of their decisions. So, we'll welcome them in, but our job is really to make them feel informed, but at the same time supported. But every choice we make in life, not just in childbirth, will have, its upsides and its downsides. So that's really what we explore, risks and benefits of every one of those decisions.
What would you say is needed to be successful at Bini Birth? Would you recommend a mentor, a doula, type of care provider?
Yeah, absolutely. Informed, I think that uninformed, we don't know our options. We don't have any options if we don't know them. So,
right.
What's available to you in your community, how realistic is, your goals, because a lot of times, women think of one thing but do another, so making sure everything matches. Absolutely, doula support, we are extremely doula-friendly, but at the same time, we don't feel like a doula is a requirement for a joyful birth experience. And I also feel, what's really important for us is also joy in your experiences, regardless of how they go, is always find the gifts and the lessons, even when things don't go as planned. And a lot of celebration of that. It's that process versus outcome, which sounds a little bit Tony Robbins, but it's true. We can't control birth, we can't control parenting, but we can always see the value in making the best that we can.
I remember one of the best pieces of advice I got with my first pregnancy is that there's joy in the flexibility.
Exactly.
And I remember that really helped me move forward, because you can definitely get caught up in your birth plan and kind of forget that sometimes life has its own plans.
Or you could forget your birth plan at home and go to the hospital without it, which is what I did with my first vaginal birth. And then you really have to be flexible.
Then you roll with the punches.
Yes.
And that's exactly what parenting is. And I think that, labor is a really good appetizer for the main dish, which is parenting. You do learn flexibility, you do learn humbleness, you do learn sense of humor, you learn to rely on people that love you, and you learn to advocate for yourself. Those are all required components of parenting. So, it's really important to not be so attached to one particular outcome, but to see the process as a big picture. So our childbirth class is way more than a childbirth class. It's really about the transformation that people are going through in that time of their lives. So they learn how to communicate with each other as partners. They learn how to communicate with their care providers. They learn to listen to their intuition, which is also very important. There is science in intuition as well.
Definitely. And what are some effective ways to actually learn Bini Birth principles? We know that you have the classes. Are there any other resources for your program?
Yes, besides the classes, we offer tons of support groups and a lot of free options for people just to come and connect. One of the things that we say is that Bini is a place that you don't have to come to buy anything or to take a class. You can really just come to hang out or to have somebody else hold your baby if you are, in an overwhelmed moment. The support goes way beyond after the birth. I come from another country. I'm originally Brazilian, and I moved here to grow my family and really had no resources and had to really figure it out on my own. And that was really isolating and very, very challenging. So Bini is the vision that what I wish I would have had, just a space for pregnant women, partners, and new parents to get together, and we may not have all the answers, but together we can get there a little quicker, or with more acceptance, or with more laughter, or have witness to hold us when we cry, and all those kind of corny, cheesy aspects of pregnancy and parenting, but that we do need to tap into it in order to shift and change and all of that.
Awesome. When we come back, we'll discuss what to expect from a Bini Birth class. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're continuing our series on childbirth preparation methods. We're learning all about Bini Birth today from our expert, Ana Paula Markel. So let's talk about the classes. At what point in their pregnancy should women take these classes?
Well, most people take childbirth classes in their second trimester, but we certainly have those guys that pee on the stick and they want to come because they want to know, what decisions to make and how to better prepare. And we always have the procrastinators that come in the last minute as well. Because of that, we do offer different formats of class. We have longer versions or shorter versions if people, come later in the game.
And so what are the differences in length? What's a long version versus a short version?
Well, the classes in average go from 12 hours to 18 hours of total amount of classes. It just really depends on which format. The topics, the curriculum is the same. It's just that on the longer versions, we have more time for discussions and debates and insights. And on the shorter versions, it's just really more about, the information in a little bit of a faster pace.
So would it be like a 1 day or 2 day class versus several weeks?
Exactly.
Okay. And what do you learn in the class that you'd say that you wouldn't learn maybe in other ways?
Oh, absolutely. So, you obviously will learn like all the basic of childbirth classes, the process of labor, how does it start, how do you know it's progressing. But then we also work a lot on communication skills, not only with your partner, but also with your team. We talk a lot about the difference in between theory and field practice. So, like how does it look like in the book and how does it may look like in real life? So not only for labor, but also in parenting. So there is a lot about, it's a combination of scientific evidence and intuitive knowledge, So this is what science tells us, this is what the numbers tell us, but this is how it may look like in real life. And these are a couple other ways that you can do about it. Another important element of this classes is connection, connection with yourself, connection with your baby, connection with your partner, and owning it, really own your choices. There is no shame in choosing an epidural. There is no shame in choosing a home birth. There is, once you make that informed decision, you own it and you celebrate. And if things go a little differently, you own that too. It's your responsibility to be a parent, so that comes with birth as well.
Walk us through a typical class, if you would. So what would we expect when we join you and sit down, and what would our time look like?
So the first thing you would expect is a gorgeous face. It's really important for us that people come in and that the environment really does the experience for them. The mood is everything in labor, and that's really important for us in childbirth classes too. So they are really welcomed by a very comfortable and warm space. The second element to it is food. We always offer wonderful, delicious food that is high quality and served in beautiful bowls. It's really an excitement in preparing for these people to come in the door and, expect them as if we were expecting for a party. Then we always start with a check-in. Where are they coming from? Where are they at? What's going on with them at that day? Things that may be in their mind. So it's a student-driven class. So even if we may have a prepared outline and we may address topics that we plan for, if the class is more, in a worried mood or, we will go where they need to be. Then we have a lecture part of the class, and then we have a practice part of the class. So there is, that's the theory and practice component to it. So, for instance, if we're going to talk about, coping in labor, we may have a lecture about what works for most people in different stages of labor, have a PowerPoint presentation with some photos of it, and then the second part of it is let's try. And then you communicate with your partner, does this work for you? Do you see yourself using this in labor? Why did you like that one thing more than the other one? So that's more or less what we would be. And then in the end, there is, a closing to it, what's the moral of the story of that day.
Great. And what would you say to a woman who's considering this childbirth method?
welcome and get ready to have fun and learn a lot. It is a process. And for a lot of people that comes with some transformations. A lot of times we witness people tapping into, their childhood experiences or, what kind of parents they want to be. So it can be profound for some people. It can also be very practical for some people. It really depends on, what they want to take from it.
What additional resources would you recommend for more information?
I definitely would recommend that they check Dona International for birth doula, so dona.org, and Birth by the Numbers. I think that's really important for them to understand, where we are as a nation in childbirth, and that may impact how they make their decisions. Of course, the business of being born and more business of being born, if they enjoy this sort of thing, and Birth Story, the documentary about Ina May and the farm midwives.
I know personally the business of being born, I think, changed my whole thought process on labor. So I can definitely attest to that.
Yeah, it's incredible what it has done to the entire, industry of childbirth. Every time I teach a class, I ask the couples how many people here have watched The Business of Being Born, and it's usually, 95% of the class. And that's what makes them really pay attention that they have to do some work, before they can relax. It's again, their responsibility. And, choosing their care is really, really the main thing that they can do for themselves.
Ana Paula, I know you're located in the Los Angeles area, but if people are listening, we have listeners from all over the place. Are there classes that are offered across the country, or is it pretty much right now just in the LA area?
Right now, it's just on the LA area, although I have traveled to teach classes to other locations, and we do now have 5 other educators that could potentially travel. We're also looking into having classes online, but it's a very complicated process, as you both probably know more than me. So it is. It's a process for us too. But we do. I personally do a lot of phone consultations or Skype consultations if people want to develop, a plan or just want to process a past birth. We offer all of those services.
Okay, and they can reach out to you through the website. What is the website?
The website is binibirth.com, B-I-N-I birth, B-I-R-T-H.com. And they can reach me at Ana Paula at binibirth.com.
Great. Well, thanks, Ana Paula, for joining us today. For more information about Ana Paula Markel, as well as information about our panelists, visit the episode page on our website. This conversation continues for members of our Preggy Pals Club. After the show, Ana Paula is going to provide tips on choosing a childbirth preparation method that's right for you. To join our club, visit our website, newmommymedia.com.
We have a question for one of our experts. Amy in Orlando writes, I hate working out, but my midwife says that I need to exercise. I haven't exercised in years. What should I start doing?
Hi, this is Leanne Webster with 52 Healthy Weeks. I wanted to get back to you, Amy, about your recent question. I definitely agree with your midwife. You should absolutely be doing some form of exercise during your pregnancy. But because you haven't worked out in years, what I would suggest is something that is low weight bearing. So what I would do if I were you is either begin walking 30 minutes a day or swimming 30 minutes a day. Once you get your endurance back up, so I would say after 2 to 3 weeks of this type of movement, then you may want to start incorporating hills if you're walking or some faster swimming if you're getting in the pool. In addition to that, I would suggest that you start doing some very low weights, high repetitions, particularly with your arms. So maybe 3 sets of 15 bicep curls using 5 to 10 pound weights depending on how strong you are, and some tricep extensions as well. And if you have trouble figuring out exactly what I mean by that, if you Google those on YouTube, you'll find plenty of great examples. I hope that your pregnancy goes well, and thank you so much for asking the question. Have a great day.
That wraps up our show for today. We appreciate you listening to Preggy Pals. Don't forget to check out our sister shows, Parent Savers for parents with newborns, infants, and toddlers, Twin Talks for parents of multiples, and our show The Boob Group for moms who breastfeed their babies. This is Preggy Pals, your pregnancy your way.
This has been a New Mommy Media production. The information and material contained in this episode are presented for educational purposes only. Statements and opinions expressed in this episode are not necessarily those of New Mommy Media and should not be considered facts. While such information and materials are believed to be accurate, it is not intended to replace or substitute for professional medical advice or care, and should not be used for diagnosing or treating healthcare problem or disease or prescribing any medication. If you have questions or concerns regarding your physical or mental health or the health of your baby, please seek assistance from a qualified healthcare provider.
New Mommy Media is expanding our lineup of shows for new and expecting parents. If you have an idea for a new series, or if you're a business or organization interested in joining our network of shows through a co-branded podcast, visit newmommymedia.com. Hey mamas, don't forget to check out Mighty Moms. It's our online community built for new moms just like you. Not only can you connect with other moms, but you can also join us backstage for special mom-only online events. And you'll also be notified when we're recording so you can join us as a special guest. Visit our website, newmommymedia.com, and click on the Mighty Moms banner. It's free. That's newmommymedia.com. See you there.